their plan to fully devolve the human mind of an American has not come to fruition yet, so they'll do everything in their power to keep that from going.
Real firm. He's the realest.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Real Firm Podcast. Great to have you here. Thank you for joining, listening, watching, whatever you may be doing while doing those things as well. Combination station. We're here. I'm here in my little closet. Still in the closet. I'll come out sometime. Don't worry. Yeah, so it's been one hell of a week, actually. And I figured I didn't have time or scheduling to get a guest, so I'm hammering in the solo vibe, trying to dial it in. So thank you for sticking with me. Hopefully this is interesting. Maybe this is better by myself. Probably not, but I feel like there could be a nice balance. We're still experimenting here. This is only the 50th episode, by the way. Kind of a little miniature milestone for a random podcast that essentially no one knows about except for you beautiful people. So thank you for being here. Hit the like button if you're on YouTube, or the rating and the listening, whatever. I'll hammer that in at the end. So I'm going to talk about some fun stuff that popped up in the news relating to music. And so it's been, my birthday was on Thursday, and shout out to Rockstar Life for taking me out for a wonderful time, and shout out to the great town, I think, town of Dunedin, Florida, just west of Clearwater. It's great bar scene over there. It's a fun time. We had a good time. And then Friday I went to a Face Melt show to do some media, and Saturday, which was yesterday, which was 420, and that was wild as well. And I'm starting to get more of a vision of the local scene and what I can do and how I can facilitate and add to it, as well as the internet scene. I forgot I didn't put a hat on, but yeah, it's also haven't been paying attention to cutting my hair in a while, but I'm starting to like the way it looks a little long. It's definitely needs to be fixed, but I have been a little too distracted in a depressive way to properly groom myself. In the hair, I'm groomed everywhere else for the most part, and very clean, and so we're doing good on that front. But the hair is just one of those things. Whatever, it is what it is. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so we had a full week, and the Face Melt shows. That's right. Got some nice footage of all the performers, sending them to some of them if they ask. And I'm starting to incorporate into, if you're a deep FERM follower, I should have a name for the super fermionic, what do they call it? Condensate. That's a whole thing. Never mind. Anyway, if you follow on the Instagram at Real Firm Audio, every week I do a recap of the week. First, it started as just from the streams, the upcoming artist radio live streams, where I highlight my favorites from the week. But now, since I'm starting to slowly get more out into the live event scene, which I have been in the past couple of months, but not as much. Now that I am more, I figured I'm starting to do more just 2 stream weeks instead of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and trying to get to a show at least once a week. And then I can get some footage, and I'm going to incorporate it into the Real Firm recap so that we get the internet firm faves, and then it's still experimental, but the one that's coming out soon, Well, it will be out on on my Instagram page when this drops on audio and video. So you can go check that out now, but it has yet to be finished in my time frame. But you are in the future, so yeah. So I don't know if I'm not necessarily picking favorites of the performers, but for now it's more of a what there's a lot of footage I had to go through, and not all of it's great, and still experimenting with lighting and a lot of things to improve upon and focus on. But that's a discussion for another time. Let's let's get into the topics here. So let's see let's do the longer, more philosophical one. I'm going to go into. I'll save that for last. First, Taylor Swift draws backlash for all the racists' lyrics on new Tortured Poets album. She released her new album, and whoops, I totally forgot to listen. I'm going to listen to this song and cut it right back in to the podcast. Not the song, of course, because we don't want any copyright strikes, but I meant to listen to the song before I did this podcast, and I'm just remembering. So, little cut. Be right back. Okay, so I just listened to it fresh off Hate It Here by Taylor Swift. God damn. First of all, I haven't listened to a Taylor Swift song in a while, and I forgot how much I actually really like her energy. I don't know about the other songs. That was the only one I listened to on that album, this new album, Tortured Poets Department, the anthology, which is 31 tracks, all over. Well, some of them aren't at a million, but she's got one with Post Malone, 27 million views. I gotta hear that. One called Florida with 3 exclamation points with Florence and the Machine, whom I also love. So this sounds like a fun time for me, if I'm being honest. But I Hate It Here. There's a lot of interesting things about this because, first of all, the reason why I really enjoy the sonic environment is because it has the folk acoustic guitar picking drive, which is the song I'm writing. Also, that's what I always end up writing because it's inspired by my favorite singer-songwriter Ben Howard, who I've kind of adapted my style from in terms of acoustic guitar playing, and it has that same kind of energy. And her songwriting, or whoever goes song, I don't know the details, but the melodic structure and it's a beautiful sound. She's got a beautiful voice. I don't understand the hate here, but I Hate It Here is the name of the track. And another funny thing before I get into the news article is I've had multiple instances where even to the point where I was almost writing a song about it, this kind of exact topic, where I've had thoughts of, I feel like I would have thrived in the Old West or something, even though it's a shitty, there's a lot of downsides to living in the Old West, like lifespan, life expectancy. But I just feel like I would have felt the depression thoughts, like, oh, if I was a cowboy, even if I got shot and died at 27, I think I would have enjoyed my life a little more. But anyway, I just thought that was funny. So I feel like a lot of people are thinking things like that. She picked 1830, and so that's the topic of the. I'm not going to go into a whole review of the song in depth, but let's get back. So the lyric in people are singling out for this. Okay, so the verse goes into, or the second verse goes into, I used to play a game with all my friends about which decade we want to live in. I picked the 1830s, but without all the racists, which is, I guess that makes sense. 1830s, a fun time. that's kind of the Old West, the start of it at least, or maybe the right before. I don't know my history that well, but American history. But I know the real Old West was kind of in the mid, based on my knowledge of Red Dead Redemption timeline, a video game. But the late 19th century, the late 1800s, towards that time. But so anyway, I'm not, no need to go further into that tangent. But yeah, people, there's apparently there's some uproar about, oh, she's saying, let me just read some of the quotes here. In the track off the deluxe version, sings about discontent and the way our recollections are distorted by nostalgia. In it, she says she wants to return to an era that ended more than a century before her career began. Right there. And then there's the thing I just said. The Civil War began in 1861, more than 30 years after the decade Swift references in the song. Slavery was still active in the United States during this time. Everyone would look down because these are lyrics. Everyone would look down because it wasn't fun now. Seems like it never was even fun back then. Nostalgia is a mind's trick. If I had been there, I'd hate it. It was freezing in the palace. Yeah, so I didn't even pick up on that. She even acknowledges, yeah, it would suck there too, but this is what I'm thinking. This all makes sense to me. This is the tortured poets department. This is tortured poetry. Yeah, from an artist perspective, that makes perfect sense. Especially, I didn't even pick up on that. But yeah, but still, there's people saying things like, so many wrong things about this, about that specific lyric concept. Y'all, there are so many wrong things about this, one user wrote while posting a screenshot of the song's lyrics from Genius. Also, if you're just reading the lyrics of a song to get the message, yes, they're saying that, but it's art, it's poetry, it's not literal. It's sound art too, not just the poetry art. So, myopic. Anyway, other fans on X defended Swift's songwriting capabilities as historical analysis. It's an interesting commentary on how we sometimes idealize certain eras without fully considering the realities of living in them, which is what I was just talking about earlier. So that was just kind of a bullshit article from USA Today. Sorry, USA Today, not that you're listening. But yeah, just to get clicks about Taylor Swift is racist, which is dumb. But it's funny how people like to just criticize whatever. But yeah, my opinion on this is she's fully self-aware of what she's saying and goes about it in a very creative way. Storytelling and songwriting. Beautiful, beautiful song in my opinion. Taylor Swift is dope. I'm sure there's a lot of tracks on this album I probably won't like as much, but that particular one, for the message and the folk style of it, maybe it all sounds like that. Maybe the whole album is folky. I know she does it. Anyway, that's been this portion of the episode's review of Taylor Swift's "I Hate It Here," in reference to a random social media backlash. Anyway, I gotta hear that Florida. Maybe I should do a review on the FERM channel of the Florida song with Florence and the Machine. Hell yeah! So shout out to Taylor Swift. I have no disrespect, no hatred in my heart for her. All the power to her. She is definitely more popular than Drake. I don't know. I think so. Just a callback from unintentional argument from me and Rockstar Life. If you haven't heard that, it's in, I forget what episode it is. It's a couple weeks ago. All right, so we'll move on. That's a fun time. Tortured Poets Department. Great title for an album. Now, to the next topic, which is the TikTok, which has come up on this podcast before. Me and Rockstar Life talked about it. As I take a sip of my wine tonight, it is Sunday, and usually I'm drinking beer at night, but there's some leftover wine from the classic traditional Italian Sunday dinner, which is really just a late lunch. So I'm finishing what's left in the wine bottle, because or else it goes to waste. And I don't abuse alcohol by letting it go to waste. So, okay. TikTok star on why U.S. Okay, so here's the. If you don't know, the U.S. government, House, Senate, whatever, legislative branch, we'll say, is slowly moving up the chain in ban, kind of a ban on, like a ban threat on TikTok if it isn't bought out by an American business. Or I don't know. I'll be completely honest. I did not do a deep dive into the legislative part of it, but from what I understand, it's a bill that's moving pretty heavily in its favor towards the president's desk, and I believe he said he would sign it if it got there. And basically, what it says is they have like 6 months or whatever to change the ownership of the platform from ByteDance, which is owned by China, and on the alleged spying, probably is definitely happening, but yeah, cyber, not malware. Some people have called it malware, but you know, what do you call it? Espionage, cyber espionage, I guess, in a way, by China. So they're saying if it's not bought out by a company from the U.S. in this amount of time, it's going to be banned and no one's going to be able to use it. So this article sparked some interest in me because of it gave me another perspective, because as someone who is quote, especially is actually only on this here program, the Real Firm podcast, I have espoused my hatred and disdain for the app, not for its existence, but just I don't like using it. It's an assault to my senses. There's an episode where the TikTok's in the title. It's where I really go off on it, and how I just doesn't vibe with my psychology, my neurodivergence, if you will, my autism, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, labels. The point is, I was when I started hearing there's been talks of TikTok bans for, I feel like, at least 2 years now that I've been hearing about it, or actually maybe even when it first started being outed as a Chinese spy thing. But seriously, in the past 2 years, I remember, or at least a year, I've been hearing like they're going to ban TikTok. They might ban TikTok. And now it's kind of becoming more of a prescient reality. I don't know if I used that word correctly. A reality that might actually happen if a U.S. company doesn't buy it. So, but yeah, when I hear ban TikTok, I'm like, oh, great. And one less social media platform I have to worry about, which I use the less on the user end. Again, I can't, I'm too OCD. I don't want 15-second, if I'm want interest in a topic, I want to dive in and spend hours on it. It fucks my head up from hearing something and then watching, then it's just not next thing, and then it doesn't work with my mind. Can't explain it any more than that. No disparaging to the users of TikTok. I'm sure you get a lot of fun information from it. I do think there's definitely an unhealthy, predatory programming in it, especially when you think about how China's version of its own app is geared toward, has limits for children, and is geared towards science, technology, what's engineering and mathematics, STEM. and more about educating and getting information that's helpful to society instead of feeding people into a loop of endless scrolling and hearing like stuff you're never going to remember because that's one of the main reasons why I come from a field of science and I can't. When I'm studying physics, sure, chemistry and biology are really interesting, but if I start trying to understand everything about that, then all the information about physics is going to be diluted from that, so I need to focus on that so I can be the best about that. I think that's where it comes from. That's just my brain just works like that. So yeah, it's hard for me to like. It's like, what's the point of seeing all this entertainment and potentially educational, informative information if I'm going to keep swiping and probably forget half of them if I go through it? I've tried it. It didn't last 30 seconds where I'm like, going to YouTube, watching a 3-hour podcast about aliens. See, I still waste my time on entertainment. It's just in a different way. So again, no disparaging to the people who do enjoy consuming rapid fire. It is weirdly overly addicting. Like if YouTube was, that's a bad analogy, but anyway, like it's basically like a content slot machine where you're like, what's this going to serve me? I don't know. I haven't used it that much, but that's what I hear from people that really go deep into it. And they're like, I was scrolling on TikTok for 6 hours. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'll spend 6 hours watching 2 podcasts, but how much information does your brain retain? If you got really good memory, then maybe, anyway, let's get back to what the article is about. So I was saying how ban on TikTok, whatever. But then it's also like this guy from this article. TikTok star who makes living off Chinese-owned app reveals why U.S. must force sale. I am terrified of what I'm seeing. Forcing sale meaning he's like, please U.S. sell it or please sell it to a U.S. company. He's trying to save it because, as many other content creators have, used the platform to skyrocket their career in influencing and content creation, whatever form of entertainment or informative content you produce, which is I'm all about because I'm in the game too. But short form content is not my specialty, as you could guess. But I do on TikTok, post on TikTok when anyway, let's not try not to steer back to my goings on about it. The House on Saturday voted to ban TikTok. Even some Americans who make bank on the Chinese-owned app believe its end can't come soon enough, saying it's become a cesspool of hate and misinformation. That's another problem with it. But again, I'm not going to go off on another tangent. Comedian and actor Zach Sage Fox, who earns his living in part by posting clips of his stand-up to over 1.1 million followers on TikTok, was sweating what the ban on the app could mean for his income in the hours after the congressional vote to block the platform in the U.S. or force its sale. So, yeah, this kind of, it's the same, because I think like, oh, well, if YouTube, if everything and Instagram, everything that I'm doing to get what I want to do out into the world, as much as I hate having to use social media, it's a very useful platform for exposure and engagement. If that all went away, then I would be pretty upset too. So I get where he's coming from. And yeah, I don't believe if it went away, I wouldn't be that sorry, but I also wouldn't be, I'd be kind of neutral on it. But I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest. I think someone will buy it out, or the law won't. Who knows? China will make sure it doesn't happen, or something like that. They want to. Their plan to fully devolve the human mind of an American has not come to fruition yet. So they'll do everything in their power to keep that from going. But yeah, so let's see here. But as the company has faced accusations of promoting Hamas propaganda and turning younger Americans toward Islamic extremism, Following the October 7th attacks on Israel, the social media influencer recognized the dangers of the massively popular video sharing platform poses. So he's seeing both sides of it. That's good. That's good. I'm terrified of what I'm seeing on TikTok. He told Fox told the. I thought it was talking about Fox News. His last name is Fox, right? Fox told the Post, in the last few months, in regard to the Israel-Palestine conflict, for all the biggest sources of misinformation, TikTok is just a gold mine. Yeah, big time stuff going on there. In that regard, it seems like there is something happening in the algorithm that is very much trying to soil the West. See, he's picking up on the plan, the master plan. The bill, which would force the app owner ByteDance to divest within 9 months, passed overwhelmingly, 360 to 58. In March, the House passed a similar TikTok bill, which moved through the chamber in a broad bipartisan majority. That effort, however, has been stalled by the Democratic Senate, with Chuck leaders so far refused, blah, blah, blah. Since it is part of the greater foreign aid package to Ukraine and Israel, the Senate will be forced to deal with the issue. Government is wild, and I don't want to get into that. But yeah, a little more information. TikTok is used by an estimated 170 million Americans. That's almost half the population, or more than half, 300 million, I think, and has become absolutely omnipresent with teens and Gen Z, with a staggering 67% of Zoomers saying they use the app. Nearly 2/3 of them admit to using it daily. Oof. The app is asserted an all-encompassing source of information. Young Americans who can... What? The app has asserted an all-encompassing source of information. Young Americans who can find it. Okay. New York Post. Run your article through a fucking AI grammatical checker before you post it, at least. We got that stuff now. I don't understand when I see typos in prominent... Anyway. Sorry, a little tangent. In recent years, however, TikTok has made headlines over the misinformation run rampant on the app, including youths praising Osama bin Laden after reading his September 11th letter to America. I think glass half full, millions of young people are cut off from information that is funneled from China and will turn to sources to that. While not perfect, we have at least some oversight on a factual level. Fox said. Experts said even if TikTok fails to find a buyer and get blocked from the United States, a new app is guaranteed to take its place. For sure, somebody will, someone's ready to pounce on it. Some company, probably Meta or, well, they already have their version of TikTok, the Reels, and YouTube with the shorts, but the algorithms are so different. But it's a similar situation. You know what I'm talking. You guys know what I'm talking about. There's always something to fill the void, or one of the mega companies like Meta to reverse engineer or recreate the experience that people are already enjoying. If it disappears, something else will emerge from the ad. Yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah. So basically, I was like, yeah, I guess there's a lot of people that gained fame and success and a full career in TikTok, and taking it away would kind of suck for them. So I hope, for their sake, it doesn't get banned. But I kind of I don't like the effect. It seems like the internet's really, as a whole, not even just TikTok, just the continuous super connectedness of everyone receiving information and then communicating via instant short sentence posts that are not well thought out, and it's terror. It's not good for society. I will stand my ground on that opinion. Excuse me while I take a wine sip break. Now, we've been going for, I think it's been about 30 minutes. So I'm going to wrap it up here, but I guess we'll summarize with the what I was just saying, which is the China spying, whatever their plan is to make everyone completely addicted to nonsense, like just wasting their time by just consuming wild information that's going to make them think in different ways, to then perhaps elevate China above America in terms of education and whatever. Who knows? But aside from that, the Instagram, the comparisons, the young people, a lot of like unaliving. Sorry, that's for YouTube. Of kids, because especially young women who can't live up to what they think is real, and it's just like a lot of crazy shit. And every day there's more people joining the internet. I thought at this point, like, oh, I guess everyone's on the internet. That would be. It's been around for like over 3 decades, something like that, a couple decades, but no, I mean, like, even in apps, like I'll still get ads for signing up for Instagram and Facebook, and I'm like, oh, well, shit, if they're paying for ads to sign up for one of the original social media apps, they're still getting more and more people. So of course it's going to keep growing, and it's going to, my prediction is, well, it's not an exact prediction, but the more people that get on the internet haven't yet already, especially older generations. So I think that's, at this point, it's more like the kids are all exposed to it. So it's more like Gen X and baby boomers and the elderly that are like, oh, let me check this out. And then they get involved, and then it's just going to be like this singularity of everyone is way too connected in a bad communication format situation, and a lot of social discord is going to continue to fester. Unfortunately. I hope that's not the case. I hope that doesn't happen. That just seems like what's happening. And you feel it in real life, because you go to like people with their follower count, and it's like, oh yeah, follow me on Instagram. And even if they don't like brag about it, you see it. And even me, I like, if someone gives me their Instagram, like, oh yeah, let's connect, and they have like 100,000, I'm like, whoa, they must be a big deal. Yeah, I didn't even look into it, but immediately that chemical whatever of recognizing a large number and having the instant like thought of, is this person famous? It's just all of that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, it's just, it has this wild effect of just knowing everyone's following and the underlying jealousies and competition. I'm gonna end up rambling on for too long about this, so we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you for joining with me this week. Another solo episode. Hopefully next week I'll be able to get a guest in the car or somewhere else. There's quite a few stand-up artists, not comedians, stand-up guy. He's a real stand-up guy that I want to interview, and that would like to be on the podcast. So that'll happen soon. Can't guarantee it, but if not, I'll be here again talking about what interests me in the news, I suppose. But I'm enjoying this. Hope you are too. Thank you very much for watching / listening. If you stuck around to the end, you're a special, highly intelligent person with a solid attention span, which allows you to focus more and understand things of communication and information. So hit the like button, leave a comment. If you're just listening, leave a rate review if you'd like. Much appreciated. Peace and love. See ya. Talk to you next week.